Hello again, welcome back. So today we're going to look at the Balanced Scorecard as a way of managing your practice. And the beauty of the Balanced Scorecard is it's a really solid model, one that's been used by many businesses, and there's loads and loads of stuff on the internet that you can find if you just Google the Balanced Scorecard. What we've done is we've adapted it to suit veterinary practices and in particular made it very easy to use. The beauty of the Balanced Scorecard is if you can manage your business using this model, it means that there will be sufficient money in the business to invest in people, equipment, education, so that ultimately you're delivering great patient care to your patients and their owners. So why does it matter? Well, at the end of the day, good business enables good medicine to take place. If you haven't got sufficient cash in the business to buy new equipment or to invest in education for your clinicians and your non-clinical team, it just doesn't work. So the idea behind the Balanced Scorecard is that we can look at the whole part of your business and focus equal energy on 4 key quadrants. So let me take you through the 4 elements of the Balanced Scorecard, and then we'll go through each of the 4 sections on their own so that you can look at what it can mean to your practice. So the 4 key elements of the Balanced Scorecard. There is a section around finance. So we look at the financial KPIs, key performance indicators in a practice. And there will usually be no more than 3 or 4 KPIs in each section. So the finance would be those aspects of your practice, the key numbers that you will look at monthly. And the key to the Balanced Scorecard is that this is a management discipline. It's something you do every month, and it's something that you spend equal energy on each of the 4 areas. So finance is the first quadrant. The second quadrant, we're looking at the customer. And for this, you need to have a set of key performance indicators for your customer behaviours, for your customer activities, number of new clients, number of active clients, those kind of things which will be very relevant to you and your business. We come down to the team. So looking at the team, this for many practices is one that is quite challenging because for some of you have very small teams. So usual key performance indicators on a Balanced Scorecard for a practice or any business would be staff turnover. Well, if you only employ 10 people and one of them goes, immediately you're at the key KPI of 10% staff turnover. So this one we have to be very mindful of the nature of your practice. If you employ 150 people, this number will certainly have staff turnover in it. If you employ 10 people, the chances are it won't. So you'll be looking at things like absenteeism rates, overtime spend, use of locums, staff engagement percentages, all of these kind of factors. And then we'll be looking at operational effectiveness. And operational effectiveness is the way you run the practice, what you do, how you do it, your processes, and looking at the key elements of what your clinical team do so that patients receive good medicine and good outcomes. And when we look at operational effectiveness, we'll be looking at things such as, of all the phone calls you get, how many ever end up in front of a clinician? And of those that end up in front of a clinician, how many of those then go through to good medicine outcomes, whether that's diagnostics, imaging, surgery, or interventions? And there are some key numbers here, some key ratios that will really help you. One really simple one for most practices is of all the phone calls that come into your practice, how many ever get through to you and how many are ever answered by you in such a way that you then don't have to ring them back or take messages or look at answer phone messages. Because at the end of the day, the business model for the veterinary practice is we've got to make the phone ring, the phone call then has to be converted to an appointment, that clinical consultation has to be converted to great medicine and patient outcomes. You then have to charge for the work you did, and then you have to get recommended so that somebody else hears about the practice so that they then tell their friends, and then the phone rings again, and thus it goes round. So the Balanced Scorecard, used on a monthly basis with great focus, great management focus, done regularly and consistently, helps you manage your practice so that you can deliver great patient care and great patient outcomes. Because at the end of the day, good medicine only happens when there's a good business platform for it to take place on. There has to be sufficient cash flow, sufficient funds to allow for investment in people, equipment and education. So good luck. What we'll do is we'll go through each of the quadrants in the Balanced Scorecard. So before we go through those, it's probably a good idea to have a look at some of the wider implications of using Balanced Scorecard as used by other businesses, just as interesting reading. And then we'll focus right down onto the key sections within the scorecard for your practice. So we'll see you soon.